Show you right now how to use this incredible website called the earth.nullschool.net, which is a funny URL, but what it is a map of real-time data of wind speed, wind direction all over the globe in real time and also historically. And I'm going to show you that there's all sorts of data that you can overlay onto this globe. By default, it sort of puts you in the position looking right at the equator, right at Africa. I can drag the globe around if I want to look to, for example, where I live right here in Boston. I can zoom in using my fingers here. I can zoom in, give it a moment for the graphics to catch up. And what it's showing you visually is the direction and the speed of the wind at any location. You can see the lines coming through here tell you the direction. The color gives you a sense of the speed. If I'd like to know the actual speed, like, hey, right here in Boston, what's the wind speed? I can click and you get a little circle here. And where I've clicked the circle, if you down here on the left, it shows you the coordinates, the direction, and the speed. So the speed is 15 kilometers per hour. And the direction here is 270 degrees. Now, you have to imagine for degrees is if it's coming from straight from the north, that would be 0. If it's coming from the south, that would be 180. From the east would be 90. And from the west would be 270. So the wind is coming directly from the west here. If you're not comfortable with the units here, we can change them. Kilometers per hour, I can click. Meters per second, knots, miles per hour. So I'll leave it at kilometers per hour. Again, you can see all sorts of things happening here. We can see high pressure, low pressure. We can see cyclones forming here in the eastern Pacific. There's a cyclone or some kind of tropical storm that's forming. We can see that rotating around the eye of the storm. We can click here and see what some of the wind speeds, 77 kilometers per hour. Can click right there in the eye and see it drops down to 12, 19, right? So you can click in there, you can zoom in even further if you want to see more detail. Or zoom out. So we can see a lot of things here just on this basic overlay of the wind speed, and there's a lot to be learned by just studying that. I do want to point out here on the bottom left there's a menu, and there's a lot of information. It's a bit overwhelming to figure out exactly where to go with this menu. So I'll show you a few things right now, and then in subsequent screencasts I'll show you additional details. One thing that we can look at is we could change the date, which is nice. So right now if I click on now, it's showing me what it looks like now at any position on the globe. I can step forward, so you can see right here, this is the date, 2022, July 19th, 19. It uses 24-hour time, and UTC is the universal time code. If I want, I can change the time zone to local time. I can step forward with this little arrow here, and it should step forward to 20, 21. So now I'm going into the future. So this is actually a forecast model that's going through. Or I can go backwards to, if I want to look at, for example, this cyclone, what did it look like a few hours ago? I can step back several hours at a time. So now it says 18 o'clock. If I click the double here, it goes back 8 hours to 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So we can step back in 8-hour segments, and we can do that. I can also go back much farther in time if I choose the date. So for example, there was a big hurricane last year, 2021, at the end of August. So let's go ahead and plug in August 29th, 2021. Click OK. It takes a moment for that to download, and we can see right here in the Gulf Coast, off the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi, that was Hurricane Ida in August of 2021. So we can take a look at some historical events. I believe the farthest you can go back is sometime in 2013. So there's a lot. If there's a particular event that you would like to look at, you can go back in time and kind of study that. It will go into the future, I think at most about 4 or 5 days, because beyond that we really can't forecast much. So that's a brief introduction to what you can do with wind. In a subsequent screencast, I'll show you how you can overlay additional data like temperature and things like that.